Hello and welcome to Chapter Chat with Sarah. Here we share true life stories. Some of these stories have been locked behind closed doors, hiding secrets. Some of those secrets so bad it will make you wonder how they even survived. We do not use real names, and that's to help protect identities, and it's not our intention to expose or hurt anyone. But the stories are real, and they are being told for all the right reasons. Here with us today is Max. And Max is one of the true life characters in my first book, Two Sisters and the Four-Leaf Clover. Hello, Max, and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Max, to say that your childhood was tragic, and even on more than one occasion you almost died, I think we could all agree that this description doesn't even scratch the surface of what your life was really like. Could you please, for the listeners, share just a few stories? Let's start out beginning that with your dad, your real dad, and then life in foster care, and then move on to what life was like after your mother married your stepfather.
Okay. Well, to start with, my real dad, uh, he married my mother, and there was five of his siblings altogether. And as far as I can remember, in the very beginning and all, you know, I thought that we was a happy family and all. But my dad, he was an alcoholic, and he took and run around, which down the road led to my mom and my dad getting divorced. So that left my mom as a single parent with five kids to take care of. And she didn't really have anybody that could help support her and stuff. So we took, and my oldest sibling, my sister, she was the one who cared for us while mom took and got a job at a motel to take and be able to provide for us kids. A long story short, there was some relatives on my father's side that really didn't like my mom and stuff, and reported my mother for working and leaving us kids alone. So they reported her, and child services come out. My mom was arrested and went to court and sentenced to a year in prison, which placed us five siblings in foster care. My two oldest sisters, they went to a family together. My two younger sisters went to a family together, and I went to a family by myself.
Max, could I ask you, how old were you at this time?
I was roughly, I believe, 4.5, 5 years old.
Okay.
When I got in foster care, the family that took me, they already had two sons, and they were younger than I was. And things started off pretty good, but it didn't take long for it to go south. Anytime the two little boys broke something or something got messed up and everything, I got the blame for it. And that's basically where my abuse started, because when I got the blame for it, I would take and be whipped, if you want to call it that, with a belt. And there was times that I was actually locked in a shed for a day or two, day and night, with no restroom, no running water, or anything. The mother or the father would take and bring my food and something to drink to me, but I wasn't allowed to go outside that shed to use the bathroom or anything.
Oh, my.
There was mice, bugs, and who knows what else was in there. There was no daylight in it whatsoever.
Unbelievable. Jeez.
To say that it was a good foster home, it wasn't at all. The two little boys that was their natural children was treated basically like gold. They never did nothing wrong, couldn't do anything wrong or anything else. It was always my fault. Well, moved forward a year. My mom got released from prison, and she met this man and ended up getting married. I can honestly remember my mom coming to visit me after she got out of prison and telling me that she was getting married, and I was invited to the wedding. Needless to say, I didn't get to go to the wedding. For whatever reason, I don't know. However, they got married, and a few days later, my mom got custody of all five of us siblings.
After your experience in the foster care and how sad it was for you to feel like your mom was coming to rescue you and everything was going to be wonderful again. I mean, what was that feeling that you had when your mom came?
Oh, it was undescribable. It was excitement. It was relief knowing that I was getting away from this abuse. Everything was going to be better. I knew I had my sisters and all, and I was going to be with them finally because I hadn't seen them at all.
Yeah.
So when my mom told me that they was getting married and would be getting us back, I was just elated. Could not wait for the day for my mom to show up and pick me up.
It's a beautiful picture. That's why I wanted you to expound on that a little bit, because I could only imagine, like, okay, this is just everything I've been hoping and praying for. So
I can remember when my mom actually pulled up to that house and she come walking up and I seen her and I ran out the front door to her arms just smiling. I was happy. They'd already picked up my sisters. To say a family reunion was in store, it definitely was at that time. Even though I didn't know back then what a family reunion was. But just being with my mom and this man who loved my mother enough to marry her and take on 5 children, I thought I had everything in the world.
yeah, and I'm sure your mother thought that too at the time.
Yes.
That didn't last very long then, did it? What happened? We talk about this in the first book, but then how soon after this happy reunion did things change in regards to living with your new stepfather?
Well, it didn't take very long for things to change because things went from a bad dream to a dream come true to a nightmare. And we ended up moving from Ohio to Indiana, where my mom and stepdad at that time took and bought a truck stop. From that time on, it was a living nightmare. The abuse that my sisters and I went through is hard to imagine. It's hard to comprehend or understand how somebody could be that evil toward children. There was several times that I seen my mom have black eyes, busted lips, times that she could hardly walk, where my stepdad beat her. We had chores we had to do. If they wasn't done to his specifications, we got beat basically with anything he could get his hands on. I've been beat with a water hose, a piece of rubber from an inner tube, switches, fists, just about anything he could get his hands on. He was very abusive to myself and my sisters. He not only did the physical abuse, he did the emotional abuse and the sex abuse.
Just the description, it's like, Satan is what comes to mind. It just not unbelievable because it happened, but just terrifyingly awful. And your mother was being beat too, so there was no way for her to protect you or save you.
No, he continuously would threaten her because there were several times that my mother threatened to leave him, and he told her if she left her with us kids, that he would make sure that she went back to prison and would never see us kids again. That was the control that he had over her. Several times, mom would walk in to see him beating one of us. She would try to stop him, and he'd just turn around and beat her. She did what she could to protect us. There's no doubt in my mind.
I can't imagine the pain that she suffered, not only, physically from him, but emotionally seeing her children who she desperately wanted to get back. And then what, turned out to be what you were all living in. As a mother myself, I just can't even fathom the desperateness that she must have felt.
It would be hard to imagine. I mean, the many times that I seen my mother just sit and cry and knowing there was nothing I could do because number one, I wasn't big enough to do anything. This man was 6'2", and a child, 12, 13 years old, they can't go up against a 6'2" person.
No. And if you didn't win, it would have ended up worse, to fight back, because then probably everybody would have been punished. Would you say that was a true statement?
Yes, very true. There was even times that during the abuse, we actually had a big pond behind our house, and our stepdad was going to teach us how to swim. Well, it wasn't like going to a pool where you had somebody there that could actually monitor you and watch you and all this. The way that he tried to teach me to swim was he took me out in the middle of the pond and threw me off the boat. I knew nothing about swimming or anything. And, he let me go down and under a couple times, and then he just pulled me up beside the boat, let me get my breath, and told me I either swim or I drown. And I can remember one time that he actually took and let go of me and started going toward the shore. At that time, it seemed like I was like miles away from the shore, but I really wasn't. I can't remember which one of them it was. One of my sisters seen me go down, and I can actually remember when I came back up, hearing her scream and holler for him to save me.
So they were all standing on the shore.
Watching this.
I think in the book, can I say this? One of your sisters to this very day is terrified of the water, and she attributed to that day. Is that right?
Yes, I have one sister who will not go in water. She'll go in like a backyard pool and all, as long as she can touch the bottom and it's not above her shoulders. But now, any deeper than that, she's not going in that water because she is terrified of it. I believe that memory just has lasted with her all her life, to where when she goes to the beach and stuff, which she has done numerous times, but she just pictures that in her mind, and she will not let herself go out to where even the waves, when they roll in, don't get above her waist.
So it's affected her entire life, not only how it affected your life, but everybody suffered from that day.
Yes, yes, they did. I mean, my stepdad, we stayed in Indiana. I don't know exactly how many years, but after all the abuse there and everything, we ended up moving to Kentucky. And, believe me, the abuse didn't stop just because we moved. It actually kind of, in a way, got worse. I mean, there was times that my stepdad, he'd get so mad. I can remember one time we was taking and going to build a house, and he marked the 2x4s himself, and I cut them off. Well, when he got the walls up, it turned out that the walls was just a little over 6 feet tall, but yet he blamed me. So he started beating on me and everything, and I just finally took off running. And I was running up the hill out of our driveway. We lived back in a holler, and I was taking and running up the driveway, and I heard one of my sisters yell, "Run, run, run!" And I looked back, and he was standing on the porch of the house with a shotgun, and actually shot it at me.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, he didn't actually hit me, and I had one bead. It was a 410 shotgun. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I had one little pellet from that shotgun that actually went in my wrist.
Wow.
And this was supposed to be a man that loved my mother and loved us kids.
Right, right. Back then, I mean, the time that this was taking place was during about what years, but it just seems like there, he could have been turned in to the police, or how did he manage for all those years from the time when you were little till you finally left and went into the Marine Corps and got away? It's just, I know that it happened, but it's just like, why did no one come to save you kids and your mom?
I've had many years to think about it. And I know, like, when we lived in Indiana and had the truck stop, there was so much illegal stuff going on at the truck stop. Just my opinion, I can't prove this, but in my opinion, I think that my stepdad actually had the law enforcement more or less in his hip pocket.
Okay.
He was paying them to let things go. One of my sisters actually went and reported him once and everything, and they did nothing.
So that's telling for sure.
Yes. And then we moved to Kentucky, and I don't know how he got away with it and everything, but I know that the abuse never stopped on any of us until we were able to leave home.
On our next episode,
once I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a truck driver. I was a correctional officer at a maximum security prison. I was a deputy sheriff, and I worked in warehouse. After all this, I ended up in prison. Needless to say, going in, I'm thinking it's going to be rough, because there's two things prisoners don't like. That's correctional officers and cops.
So that's all for today. Before we go, we want to let you know that both of these books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookstores. You can also follow me on my website, sarahshaw.org, Facebook at Sarah Shaw, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Remember this verse before we close. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13.